Okay, let's shift gears slightly and talk about how this story was even told. Getting this kind of insight. Okay, let's unpack this. We are tackling a really vital topic today.
We really are.
The decade-long erosion of the U.S. Department of Justice. Our sources, well, they're based on some recent, deeply reported investigative journalism.
And they paint a sobering picture, don't they?
They really do. An institution built on the rule of law that was ultimately, as the sources put it, vanquished by politics and fear.
Yeah. And the central question for us, and really for you, the listener, isn't just that this happened, but how? How does an agency meant to operate with total independence,
The Guardian, right.
ultimate guardian of the country's legal foundations, how does it become so profoundly impaired?
So our mission here is to give you a shortcut, kind of, to understanding the internal struggles, the leadership missteps across different administrations.
And the resulting damage is significant.
And the timeline, as you said, is everything. This wasn't like a sudden collapse.
No, definitely not. It was a process, a subversion.
The sources argue that the erosion really started in earnest during the former president's first term. His administration, well, it actively sought to bend the law enforcement apparatus.
For personal and political gain, yeah.
Yeah.
And crucially, even where they didn't fully succeed in, say, getting a specific investigation launched or stopped,
Right.
the efforts themselves succeeded in destabilizing the institution, weakening its foundations, its resolve.
And what's really striking here is how quickly it created this climate of fear.
That's key. It wasn't just policy disagreements up top, it became personal fast.
How so?
Well, longtime DOJ and FBI staff felt intimidated, sidelined, specifically targeted. The sources detail how the former president would single out individual agents
For public attacks.
for humiliation and public excoriation, is the quote. That's not just criticism, that's aiming to destroy careers.
That's a huge difference, isn't it? It's not just having a tough boss. It's the active attempt to tarnish someone's professional life.
Absolutely. And if you're an agent, your whole career is built on integrity.
Right.
When the president attacks you personally, well, the incentives just warp completely.
It leaves scars, professional scars.
Definitely. The department was supposed to pursue evidence without fear or favor. That's the motto. But the reporting says it shifted dramatically.
Becoming almost, what was the phrase?
Almost back free, meaning staff were terrified to act, afraid to put their name on anything sensitive. They knew they lacked political cover and could face public ruin.
And that symbolism,
Yeah.
the blue curtains, that moment really captures the break from norms. Can you remind us about that?
Oh, yeah. It was when the former president visited the DOJ headquarters. And in preparations, the building staff put up this huge facade,
Literally covering things up.
literally covering the statues of Lady Justice with heavy blue curtains.
Yeah.
Lady Justice, blindfolded, holding the scales. She represents impartial fairness.
Covering her up?
Yeah. It signaled visually to everyone inside and out that the department's commitment to independence was being, well, actively shrouded. A really tangible mark of institutional trauma.
Okay, so if that first administration introduced fear, the next one, under Attorney General Merrick Garland, was meant to be the antidote.
Exactly. And his intention was noble, right? Reestablish those historical norms, avoid any appearance of partisanship.
He was uniquely qualified too, wasn't he? Having helped write some of the post-Watergate rules.
He was. He helped define that separation between the White House and DOJ. His pedigree was, on paper, perfect for the moment.
But here's where the sources draw a really critical conclusion.
Right. The desire to be pristine, to be seen as absolutely above the political fray. It led department officials, the authors argue, to proceed too cautiously.
And that hyper-caution, it was just as destabilizing.
In its own way, yes, because it meant they missed critical windows to act. It created its own kind of paralysis.
That's the paradox, isn't it? How did this caution actually play out in the early days of his tenure?
Well, initially, they poured immense resources into prosecuting the physical January 6 rioters, the people who breached the Capitol.
Which makes sense on one level.
It does. Working its way up the chain, brick by brick, build a solid foundation. But it consumed huge amounts of time and resources.
The idea being that the evidence would eventually lead higher up.
That was the belief. Build the perfect case from the ground up, and it will inevitably lead to the senior organizers, maybe even the former president.
But the sources suggest that while they focused on the bricks, they delayed looking at the blueprint.
That's a good way to put it. Which brings us to the election interference schemes. specifically the fake electors plot.
Right. Can you quickly recap what that involved for listeners who might not recall the details?
Sure. The fake elector scheme was basically an attempt to create fraudulent slates of electoral college voters in states the former president lost. Allies drafted and signed these bogus certificates.
Falsely claiming they were the real electors.
Exactly. Falsely claiming they were legitimate, then sending these documents to Washington, hoping to replace the actual certified electors. Is a key part of the plan to overturn the election.
And the timeline for investigating those certificates, it's pretty stunning according to the reporting.
It really is. The sources state these fake elector certificates were obtained publicly through a records request back in March 2021.
March 2021. Okay.
Yet, they apparently sat uninvestigated by the FBI for 13 full months until April 2022.
13 months. That delay feels enormous.
It was huge, and it allowed the political calendar to keep ticking, getting closer to the midterms.
Which brings us to more caution. Late 2022, the midterms are looming, and we get this controversial decision to invoke the 60-day rule.
Ah, yes, the 60-day rule.
For listeners who aren't DOJ policy wonks, what's that rule supposed to do, and why was applying it here criticized internally?
So the 60-day rule isn't actually a formal written rule, more a long-held tradition or norm. It's meant to stop the DOJ from taking overt investigative steps.
Like indictments or searches.
Exactly. In politically sensitive cases within about 60 days of an election. The idea is noble. Avoid influencing the vote, protect the department's impartiality.
Makes sense. Protect the institution's integrity.
Right. But the sources say Garland invoked this norm, freezing both the classified documents case and the election interference cases before the 2022 midterms.
Even though the former president wasn't officially a candidate then.
Correct. He hadn't declared yet. So the decision achieved maximum pristine optics for Garland, but internally, prosecutors felt it was an extreme, unnecessary application of the norm.
And what was the actual real-world impact of hitting pause like that?
It prevented key investigative steps. For instance, in the classified documents case down in Florida, the pause meant they couldn't immediately interview crucial figures, like Susie Wiles.
So leads went cold, momentum stalled.
Precisely. Prosecutors later regretted it, according to the sources. They realized this extreme caution had paralyzed them. The window closed, forcing them to rush later on.
And rushing complex investigations is never good.
Never. It creates risks.
That rush seems to lead us straight to Special Counsel Jack Smith, who came in and moved very aggressively.
He did. Trying to make up for lost time.
But even with that aggression, the reporting points to a potentially massive tactical error, specifically in the classified documents case.
Yeah, the choice of venue, where to file the charges.
Smith chose Florida, right, because that's where the documents were. The evidence of handling them was strongest.
Legally, it was the strongest location, yes.
Yeah.
The physical evidence was undeniable there. A sound legal choice, you might say.
But a tactical gamble? Why?
Because of the judge lottery. The sources say Smith was specifically warned by a senior supervisor. The warning was, the biggest risk isn't the evidence, it's the judicial assignment in that particular district.
They were worried about one judge in particular.
They worried about getting Judge Aileen Cannon, who had already, in earlier related proceedings, shown herself pretty favorable to the former president.
So the alternative was file somewhere else, maybe D.C., even if the legal connection was a bit weaker.
That seems to be the debate described in the sources. File in D.C., where jurisdiction was maybe more debatable, but the judges were seen as less likely to, shall we say, obstruct the trial process.
And that warning, it turned out to be spot on.
Eerily prescient, yeah. The decision backfired, as the reporting puts it. The case landed smack in front of Judge Cannon.
Leading to delays, favorable rulings for the defense.
Slow-walking procedural hurdles, and, yeah, the case essentially stalling out. It really shows how even ironclad evidence can be neutralized by tactical choices and, frankly, the luck of the draw with judges.
And beyond the venue issue, the other big case, the election interference one, hit a huge roadblock later, too.
Absolutely. The Supreme Court's ruling on presidential immunity, that forced Smith's team to scramble.
They had to rewrite their whole trial plan.
Immediately, they had to redline a reportedly 100-page trial plan, cutting out key evidence they could no longer use.
What was the most damaging piece of evidence lost because of that ruling? What couldn't they present anymore?
According to the sources, a really crucial piece was evidence from a meeting back in March 2020.
What happened in that meeting?
Well, the then president was briefed extensively on all the election security improvements that had been made. CISA, FBI, everyone telling him the systems were robust. And he reportedly praised them, said they'd done a great job.
Okay, so why is that so critical?
Because it established his state of mind, his awareness. It showed he knew the security processes were sound before he started claiming later that year that the election was rigged or stolen.
So it directly countered the he genuinely believed it was stolen defense.
Exactly. Losing that piece of the narrative, that evidence of prior knowledge, significantly weakened the prosecution's ability to prove corrupt intent. A major blow.
So we're seeing damage across the board. It's not just about losing specific cases. The sources point to a broader institutional breakdown, a severe brain drain.
This is maybe the most critical long-term consequence, the one that makes the country genuinely less secure.
The numbers are pretty shocking.
They are. The sources estimate that roughly 4,000 FBI agents and federal prosecutors have left the DOJ since January 20th, 2025.
4,000. That's staggering. What does losing that many people, often with decades of experience, actually mean in practice?
It means a catastrophic loss of specialized institutional knowledge. These aren't just junior staff leaving.
These are the experts.
Experts in complex financial crime, counter-espionage, cyber threats, terrorism investigations. The sources explicitly warn this makes the country less safe. That knowledge base, how to build these incredibly complex, fair cases, how to track sophisticated threats, it's just gone.
You can't just replace that overnight.
Absolutely not. You can't crash course someone on tracking foreign spy rings.
And the sources drive home that point. There's no imaginary force field around America. When the experts leave, the walls get thinner.
And for those who remain, or the new people coming in, the environment's totally changed. The reporting details how new hires, especially at higher levels, are facing a loyalty test.
A loyalty test, what does that involve?
Being asked, sometimes directly, if they supported the former president or if they ever gave money to Democrats.
Wow, that's not how it's supposed to work.
Not at all. It completely erodes the meritocracy the DOJ was built on. Loyalty, not necessarily qualification or independence, becomes the key factor for advancement.
The sources mention a specific pivot moment, a point when the alarm bells about this shift toward sort of political vengeance rang loudest.
Yeah, that seems to be the potential indictment of former FBI Director Jim Comey.
What was the issue there?
Career prosecutors looked at the evidence gathered against him and apparently deemed it slim to non-existent.
But leadership pushed it.
The pressure was there. It was seen internally less as a real pursuit of justice and more as using the department as an instrument of vengeance, targeting a political enemy, even without a solid legal case. That really signaled a dangerous shift.
And to really illustrate how allies might be shielded now, the sources give a really specific kind of jaw-dropping example, the Tom Homan case.
Right, the alleged bribery investigation involving the former border chief, Tom Homan. This one is deeply revealing about the current dynamics.
What happened?
Undercover FBI agents were running a sting operation, targeting contractors suspected of paying bribes for government contracts. As part of this, the sources allege agents met with Homan.
And they recorded him.
They recorded him allegedly accepting $50,000 in cash.
$50,000?
In cash. Reportedly handed over in a kava bag. You know, the fast casual food chain.
In a kava bag. That detail is something else. Almost seems too cinematic to be real.
It's the kind of detail that sticks with you, right? But despite having audio recordings, the physical evidence, the sources reveal that the current leadership, including figures like Kash Patel, were chilly about the case.
Chilly, meaning they didn't want to pursue it.
They questioned the predicate for the investigation.
Okay, what does questioning the predicate mean in plain English here?
The predicate is the initial legal reason, the justification, for opening an investigation into someone in the first place. So questioning it, even after you have alleged evidence, like a recording of cash changing hands.
It sounds like looking for a reason not to proceed.
That's how it's presented, arguing the initial basis wasn't strong enough, despite the later evidence. And the result, the investigation was shut down in August 2025.
So a clear example, according to the sources, of political allies potentially being shielded, regardless of the evidence.
It provides a documented case study of how loyalty might now trump evidence, insulating certain individuals from scrutiny.
Okay, let's shift gears slightly and talk about how this story was even told. Getting this kind of inside-the-room detail is incredibly hard.
It really is.
For you, the listener, trying to understand how investigative journalists pieced this together, the methodology itself is kind of an aha moment.
Absolutely. The authors use what they call the Bob Woodward method, which means rigorous work, immense patience.
Hundreds of interviews, right?
Hundreds. The reporting suggests over 200, maybe even closer to 250 interviews. And the really crucial step is cross-checking accounts, triangulating.
Why is that cross-checking so vital, especially here?
You need consistency. You look for moments where sources who might dislike each other or are on opposite sides of an internal fight tell you the exact same thing about a key meeting or decision.
Like the fake elector delay example.
Exactly. When a Trump appointee and a career prosecutor both confirm the timeline and the internal frustration about the delay, you know you've likely got the validated narrative. That's the gold standard.
The sources also mentioned a powerful way they appealed to contacts, a kind of human request?
Yes. They apparently used the plea. If you don't tell me, the American people are not going to find out.
That's powerful.
It often worked, they said, because even amidst all the turmoil and fear, most DOJ and FBI staff fundamentally see their work as a deep, honorable calling. They believe the truth matters and needs to be preserved, even at personal risk.
And despite everything we've discussed, the brain drain, the politicization, the fear, the sources do hold on to a sliver of hope.
They do. They emphasize that a strong core of ethical, rigorous career professionals is still there.
Yeah.
Holding on, sometimes by their fingernails.
Why do they stay?
They stay precisely because they want the institution to survive this, to return to what it was meant to be. Their staying reflects this profound belief in the honor of serving the country, even when the environment is hostile.
Okay, so let's try to synthesize this. If we connect this whole decade-long history, the fear, the caution, the errors, the politicization, to the bigger picture, what are the most critical damages the DOJ is facing now?
I think the damage is really twofold, and it's devastating. First, as we discussed, the systemic loss of institutional expertise, the brain drain. We're simply less prepared to handle complex threats, foreign and domestic.
Also, yeah.
Fundamentally less safe, yes. Second, and maybe just as damaging, is the profound harm to the credibility of the DOJ itself.
How so?
Because now, even if the department brings legitimate, evidence-based charges, pursued with total fairness, there's a huge risk that a large portion of the public will automatically view it as politically motivated.
The trust is broken.
The trust is deeply damaged. Rebuilding that could take decades. It fundamentally changes how law enforcement functions in America.
Which leads to this really difficult dilemma for any future administration trying to restore independence, doesn't it? How do you fix it without making it worse?
That is the absolute core challenge. If a new administration comes in and, say, purges all the perceived political loyalists to try and restore independence.
They risk setting a new precedent.
Exactly. They risk cementing the idea that this happens every 4 or 8 years. You turn previously non-political career roles, the FBI director, key U.S. attorneys, division heads into purely political appointments that rotate with each election.
Which further erodes the whole idea of an apolitical civil service just focused on facts and law.
Precisely.
Yeah.
You perpetuate the cycle you were trying to break.
So, the Founding Fathers designed this system, checks and balances, 3 branches. But as this reporting powerfully shows, those checks are not working so great right now when it comes to insulating justice.
They really aren't. The challenge we face now goes beyond just addressing individual potential crimes or misconduct. It's about institutional failure.
So, the final thought for you, the listener, to maybe mull over.
Yeah, it's this. We need to move beyond just reacting to the latest case or controversy and start thinking about structural reform. The real question is, how can we build or reinforce institutional firewalls?
Firewalls to protect the DOJ.
To ensure the Department of Justice is genuinely insulated from the immediate political winds blowing from the White House, regardless of who is president. What reforms, what changes might ensure the agency can truly pursue justice without fear or favor, or even debilitating hyper-caution?
How do you make independence real and durable?
That's the fundamental question we have to grapple with collectively going forward.
Grab Injustice by Carol Leonnig now on sale $23.95. Don't miss this chance and build good habits and achieve remarkable results. Buy now today.
Like and subscribe for more Bookhaven podcasts.